Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Urban Prodesco, and today we're going to be looking at Maximus Detalius. Maximus is one of the new tools that I created for Pyro. The other two are Soot or Dye and Baby Erode, and I recorded a full workshop on how I made the tools, what they do, and then how you can start making your own custom microsolvers. But today we're going to be talking about Maximus, and I'm really excited about this because it's something I've been building for quite a while. Everybody who's been in the Ultimate Explosions workshop have seen some of the kind of examples of creating your custom turbulences and disturbances, and then we've made skadoosh pyro helpers that also have quite a bit of custom things that we've added. But I feel like Maximus is really the best version of all of the turbulence disturbances tools that I've ever made. And yeah, from now on, this is the only thing I'm going to be using. So that's Maximus. So the workshop is fully recorded. You can grab it at the link down below. I show you how to use Maximus. I show you how to use Soot or Dye, but I also show you how to create Baby Erode, how to create your custom vorticles, how to create flamethrower emitters, how to create cool explosions, and some other cool sneak peeks and pro tips and tricks. So that's all in the workshop. But today I want to give you a demo on how Maximus works and why it's useful. So one of the things is it does give you So when I started creating the tool, I thought, oh, this is really giving me almost like the maximum amount of details that I can get out of Pyro. So that's why it's called Maximus Detalius. I just thought it was a funny name. And then this feature, I think, is one of the most important ones, is the smoothing. So without smoothing, you get really kind of intense breakups and very kind of shape noise patterns. And it doesn't look really realistic, but with the smoothing on, it does give you something that resembles more like how an actual smoke simulation would look like, while still giving you those it almost feels like it has infinite details and you can just kind of zoom in infinitely. So it gives you nice big breakups, medium breakups, and small breakups. And this is only using one Maximus node. So here's another explosion that we're going to be making in the workshop. Honestly, nothing special about it. This is a very basic, simple explosion, but it just looks pretty decent. So this could be your, basic preset for making explosions. And then based on this, you kind of build on top and make it bigger, smaller, change the emitter. But at least you know that the base preset looks good. So nothing special about it. And then here we're also using the Soot or Dye tool. Soot or Dye essentially creates dirty burn or incomplete combustion where there's not enough oxygen and the flame/temperature is low in heat. So there's not a lot of heat anymore. That's where you get dirty burn, and that's where the black smoke kind of gets emitted from. But you can also use it to just create more sand or dirt-like explosions. And, it's really up to you how you then mix it and how you color it. But I was getting some very cool explosions like that. So you can really see like it gets that kind of rusty look. It has multiple levels of hues and colors and shades. So just makes it look, I think, much more realistic. I think that's something that is missing in a lot of explosions is just this subtle color changes. Here's another one. And you can get that with the soot or dye. So I'm going to demo Maximus on this very simple smokestack, but it is important that your tools work on, the most simple of examples, but then they also go to more complicated big smokestacks and tornadoes and explosions. But if you can get it to work here, then you're pretty well on your way. So you can see how we're getting these nice breakout, nice wispy shapes in smoke where the smoke is low in density and speed and also low in temperature. So it just gives you very nice breakups from the beginning. Now I'm pushing it here a bit, making it much more dense than it should be, but you can see from here, I think it looks pretty damn good. And then this is a work in progress, and this is another one when you have a very, very fast emitter, and I'm not retiming this in any way. This is how it is when you simulate it. And this is actually quite correct. Like explosions are extremely, extremely fast, but we usually struggle with breaking up the shapes from the beginning. And immediately, as soon as there is density spawned and we have our explosion going up, we are going to get nice and quite organic breakups. So if we look at this from more of a distance, you can see we have the correct speed because explosions are really, really fast and we get immediate breakups. And honestly, most of these things here at the beginning wouldn't be that visible anyway because of motion blur and camera shake. But if you have camera shake, but you can see we have immediate breakups, but then we are not overly noising our explosion, even though we are pumping a lot of noise into it. So that's kind of, and we're using just one Maximus node in this case. So you can see we get immediate breakups, and then we get nice wispy shapes where they need to be. And I just think it looks pretty decent. So let me give you a quick demo. This is that smokestack that we've been looking at. And this is not super, super high res in terms of voxels. It's only, let me go here, this guy, and I'm going to turn off the light. So it ranges, I think the max was like 30 million. So that's not super high res. And yet you are really maximizing every voxel and maximizing all the details that we're getting out of this explosion. So you can see immediate breakups on the tips, and in my opinion, they look kind of nice and organic like, they usually would. Let's see, maybe I can show you some other stuff here. So here we have one of the big smokes that I was demoing the smooth and not smooth functionality of Maximus. So this is the smooth version, and you can see we're getting really nice breakups and quite organic smoke shapes like so. So you can go really, really close. Let me see if I turn on the light. It's gonna look like that. Oh, it gets a bit slow. I'm gonna pretend this one. Yeah, this looks pretty good. So you can see very nice organic smoke shapes, and we can go really, really close up. And then the no smooth version, so this is without the smooth edge functionality, it looks kind of fake, right? Like because we do need to push a lot of noise into our simulation, and it's going to look fine from a distance. But if you're doing something that requires extreme close-ups, then we're going to need this. See, there was another one that I did that I think looks pretty good. So again, it's going to have nice wispy shapes where they would naturally occur. So I think this looks pretty good. Let's go to our small smokestack where I'm going to show you how this actually works and what it does. So this is just this one node. I'm going to be a bit lower in resolution just so we can demo this a bit faster. All right, so here we go. Simple, very classic smokestack. These are all the controls that you would get with Maximus. I think over time I might even simplify this a bit more, but for now I think it works pretty well, and you only need one Maximus node. So if we disable this guy and resim this, this is what we would be getting. And then with Maximus, it's going to start breaking up the shapes from the beginning. You can see it really starts working immediately, and we are getting nice breakups at the top. We're getting nice noise details here. It's breaking it up into smaller shapes and bigger shapes. So in theory, it should just work once you plug this in. So let me turn everything off and just explain all the parameters here. if you don't have any of the masks, we are going to get quite a bit of aggressive noise and disturbance. But when I started developing this and when I had the first version, I was like, okay, this is maybe a bit too much, but let's go down to 6. And in the beginning, I was like happy with how it immediately on frame 1 starts breaking up the shapes. So if we zoom out a bit, so we kind of match the voxel resolution to our pixel size here, I was like quite happy with how it is breaking everything up. It's getting a bit puffy, but we are getting nice breakups at the top. This looks pretty good. It's breaking things up here pretty well. So in general, I was quite happy with the base version. The top controls. So right now we are dynamically fetching our voxel size. So whatever this is, 0.02, now this is going to be our base for our noise frequency. If you want, you can use the fixed size, just so this doesn't change, if you keep changing the voxel frequency. I like using the fixed one, to be honest. Here, I added a lot of tips throughout the Maximus, so just in case if something doesn't click, you can quickly go and browse through the tips. This is our master amplitude. It's just the main multiplier. This is our time scale, which just tells us how fast our noise pattern is going to be moving. And maybe this would be a good time to actually enable our noise pattern so we can see it. So right now, Maximus is quite naked. So it's applying noise almost uniformly everywhere. You can see we do have a hotspot here, and that's coming from some of our initial additional controls and amplifiers here right now. But timescale is just gonna ensure how fast our 4D noise is actually moving. World scale, the way these two work together, actually DX value, world scale, and detail size are multipliers of each other. This is the thing I might simplify in the future, so we only have one detail size, or maybe 2 at best. But the detail size, if you start increasing this, we're going to get bigger flicks of noise, and the same with the world scale. With the world scale, the idea was to mimic how big your simulation is. So if this is, if let's say it goes up to here and it's like 15 meters, then I would set this to 15 and then change the detail size accordingly. But also keep in mind, this is our starting noise frequency value, which can come from a fixed resolution scale or from a dynamically fetched resolution scale. So that's what I'm saying. This might be a bit too complicated and overly complicated. So it does work, but I'm just saying we might simplify it later. Noise offset, just a simple offset, and then drag strength. I like to keep it at 0.2, just so it slows everything down just a tiny bit, but it's not absolutely needed. Then we have master amplitude that multiplies both of these scales, but we do have our base amplitude and we have our hot amplitude. So if I put this to 1, you'll see that everything here becomes much less hot. The hot amplitude is based on the hot mask. It's just a fit based on our flame and temperature. So 0 to 3, and then how much of this mask do we want to use? I usually keep this on to 5 because I do want a lot of noise and more noise when we have hot areas. So if something is hotter, it's usually going to have more noise and more disturbance than areas that are colder. So this is our kind of first amplifier. This doesn't work as a mask. This is amplifying everything up. So this was pretty cool. I like how everything here looks. Then we have our last 2 amplifiers, which is the strength from speed, animation from speed, and max strength by speed. Strength by speed, it's going to amplify the noise based on fast moving areas and also kind of multiply it down in slow moving areas. Animation from speed, this is going to give us a dynamic frequency / time scale change. So where our speed of our sim is faster, our noise pattern, the 4D noise, is going to be moving faster as well. And then the speed noise frequency, this is optional if you want to turn this off or on. Essentially what it says, at this speed, this is our threshold. So at 3, when you're at max speed, change the frequency. This is an additional multiplier, but change our frequency. So either make it even smaller if you're moving faster, or make it, we can let's say go to 150. So in the slow moving areas right now, in the slow moving areas, which are these ones, change the frequency of the noise so it's bigger, and then make it even smaller if we are still moving fast. So this way you can have additional controls, and this I found out that it works pretty well, and it gives you those nice organic shapes where there's not any speed left, like here. So that's it for the main multipliers. And then the only other thing that is left are our masks. Currently, the way we are applying noise is quite naked and raw. So you can see we're applying it all over the place. The first mask that I usually like to do is by speed. So as soon as we enable this, you're going to see we're going to get much less noise here, but still retaining it in these areas that is worth having it. I'm not sure what's happening with this guy, but here we go. So that's going to give us that. So we're still getting noised up at the tops, where we want to, but I was thinking that this maybe is disturbing the tips of our smoke a bit too much. So if you remember when I was showing you this, we do want that disturbance to be happening really fast, but then we want it to die down and act really naturally, right? So I added the smooth out edges option. And this is going to ensure that we can control this, obviously, how much we want this, but it will create a much more softer noise pattern on the tips. So it's everything else, it's still going to be disturbed the same way. It's literally just going to ensure we don't get those sharp edges and shapes that might otherwise look like artifacts. And it's going to give us a much more pleasing noise pattern at the tips. So you can see we're getting nice breakups. There isn't too much excessive noise happening. And for a smokestack of this scale, these are kind of the shapes that I would expect to see. So like that. So you don't want to overdo the smooth edges. If we go all the way up, you'll see that we're going to be eroding our noise quite a bit. And what that is going to do is this is going to over smooth everything. So our noise is still going to work everywhere else, but just not on the tips of our simulation. So you're going to get overly smooth edges now. So just these kind of bubbles. So we don't want that. We want a nice mix of this. So usually I go to 0.4 or 0.5. So that way we get a nice healthy ratio between noise and nice organic looking shapes. You can control this with this parameter a bit, like how much do you want to go, how much deep do you want to go. So if I go all the way to 1, you'll see 0.01 is what we had before. And with this, you're going to erode your noise even more in, but the default so far was working great. So 0.01 is all you need. 0.4. The temperature mask is quite self-explanatory. It's gonna use the max between flame and temperature to give you a temperature mask. All right, and then we have the Mushroom Destroyer. The Mushroom Destroyer is a secondary noise that you can use for multiple reasons. In this case, I was using it to create even bigger breakups, so bigger shaped breakups, because my noise frequency is quite big. So let's actually see what's doing. Let's go to 10. Yeah, so that's quite big. And maybe do it like that. So we have separate controls for the frequency again, based on speed. And this is the speed threshold. So if we say 3, only things above the speed of 3 are going to get the Mushroom Destroyer, which is usually where you want it. You want to enable your Mushroom Destroyer only on areas that are going super, super fast and you want to erode and inject even more noise. Or you can use it and be like, well, I want it to affect almost everything, just so it creates more bigger breakups. So you would use this as your secondary noise that creates just, bigger shapes. It's up to you how you use this, but I just wanted to kind of show you the parameter and what it does. So now we're getting even bigger breakups all over the place, which is pretty good, but we can also, like I said, control it based on speed. But yeah, this looks pretty good. Let me disable the mushroom destroyer and go back to our basic, just one noise. Obviously, if you need multiple noises, you just duplicate this and change the values here. In almost all the examples, I only used one Maximus node because that was completely enough. So let's say you do add big breakups in shapes. What happens is we are now still applying our noise even on the inside of our simulation, which in this case, it was fine. But in a lot of cases, it's going to change the direction of your simulation way too much. In that case, you enable Protect Density Core, and now we're going to be able to say, well, where do we want to enable our noise and just protect our core of the density, so it's not actually changing the direction too much, but it's only adding the noise details that we need at the edges of our smoke simulation. So usually I like to keep this to like 3 and maybe 8. But it's going to be per case basis. It really depends on how big your simulation is and where is your core of the simulation. So that's that. I think we do need another slider here that, like I have here, does the mask strength. We would have the strength over density core as well, because right now it's just on or off. So I'll add that in the next kind of update. I'll keep updating these tools all the time because I do get a lot of ideas on what to change or add or remove. And then the last one is this custom mask, which I think is super important. And right now I'm using pressure, and that's what I was using here as well. So I was using pressure, which is, it acts almost like an acceleration mask, and it adds noise. It adds additional noise only to the areas where they're moving super fast or have really high pressure. So right now it's only here. You can check your pressure mask if you click this on and use smoke. So you can see this is where the smoke is now going to get applied. Well, where the noise is going to get applied the most. And if it's fully on like this, it's going to be too much. So usually I put it to 0.7. So we're still adding. Let's go to 9. Okay, 1. So if we go 0.9, we're going to be adding the most of our noise here where we have high pressure, but it's still going to be adding it in other areas. But yeah, that's that mask. This can be anything. So once you have your soot, or if you have flame, or if you have any other custom fields, you just type them here and they're going to work. And those are pretty much all the features. I've made a bunch of different flavors of Maximus over the development. So we have the black Maximus, we have the red Maximus, and then we have the white Maximus. I used to call the white one Maximus Light, and then it became not so light because I was adding so many features, because it became almost as big as the black Maximus. And this one had 2 noises. So start with this, which is the fine noise control, and then the big breakups. It had all the masks. It also has a gradient mask. I added a pressure mask by default, and yeah, it has a gradient mask. And here's where you can change the adaptive voxel frequency. And this one, the last version, I added an acceleration mask, which is still in beta. It does work, but honestly, I think if you use the pressure mask, you would get better results. So that's why this is still in beta. You're going to get all of the different flavors of Maximus in the workshop. So if you want to play around with them, that's where you can find them. All right, so that brings us to the end of this demo. The main point with Maximus was I wanted to create a noise that would replace me fiddling with, adding multiple disturbances and turbulences and all of that stuff, and just have one tool that kind of does it all, but also I wanted to improve on the way the actual noise pattern and the shapes look. So I think this is it. Yeah, this is going to be my go-to tool that I'm going to use all the time. Look at that. Looks great. But yeah, that's going to be my go-to noise tool that I'm going to use from now on, and I'm going to keep updating it because I'm going to keep on using it as well. So it needs to be good and robust. But if you want to learn how to do it and how I did it, and if you're into creating your own tools and custom microsolvers, yeah, check out the workshop where you can learn all of that for yourself. Cool, guys. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.